The main problem with tuberculosis or TB in children is that nearly half of them are undiagnosed. Each year, 1 million children develop TB. Less than half are diagnosed. Almost all children who die of TB have not been diagnosed. TB is usually known as a chronic disease where typically a child with TB will cough for more than 2 to 3 weeks. But recent data shows that TB is also found in children with severe pneumonia, an acute disease where children cough for 2 to 3 days with fever. In this case, most doctors do not think about TB. Children with pneumonia are therefore treated for pneumonia with short-term antibiotics, whereas other antibiotics should be given for 6 months to treat TB. Children are therefore not treated for TB and exposed to a risk of death from the disease. The TB speed pneumonia study hypothesis was that in high TB burden countries with important TB transmission, children with severe pneumonia and TB have TB bacilli that could be detected with a molecular test, enabling early treatment to reduce mortality. The TB speed intervention consists in offering to all children with severe pneumonia a nasopharyngeal aspiration, NPA, and a stool sample, followed by a molecular test to detect TB called Expert Ultra Test. NPA consists in aspirating secretions from the throat through the nostril. It lasts a few seconds. From March 2019 to June 2021, the TB Speed team conducted a cluster randomized trial with a specific design called step-weight to test that proposed intervention. We selected 15 hospitals in sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia. All hospitals started the study with their existing protocols and diagnostics in pneumonia. If the doctors thought of TB in a child, they could diagnose it with the usual procedure. Every 5 weeks, we randomly selected a new hospital to start the TB speed intervention. The study was interrupted for a few months by the COVID pandemic, but resumed normally thereafter. A total of 2,571 children were included in the study. 1,401 children benefited for the usual diagnosis. 1,170 children benefited from the TB speed intervention. 95% of children had NPA collected, even if children with severe pneumonia have breathing difficulties. 80% of children had stool collected and tested with the molecular test Ultra. 88 children under the TB speed intervention arm were diagnosed with including 24 by the Ultra test performed on NPA and stools. In the control arm, 74 children were diagnosed with TB. Overall, there was no difference in mortality between both groups, even if there was more diagnosis in the TB speed intervention group. 110 children died in the control arm versus 91 in the intervention arm. A large group of children had severe acute malnutrition in the study, 25% in the intervention group and 17% in the control group. In these malnourished children, mortality was 4 to 5 times higher than in other children, and TB disease was also diagnosed 4 to 5 times more than in the other children. Even if the study cannot conclude statistically, the TB speed intervention appears to have a reduction in mortality and an increase in diagnosis in the intervention arm for children for both severe pneumonia and severe malnutrition. The study also shows that it is possible to diagnose TB with NPA and stools tested with Ultra, which are well tolerated and easy to implement. It also shows that an important proportion of children with severe pneumonia also have tuberculosis, up to 8%. Finally, it shows that in the group of children with severe acute malnutrition that are very vulnerable and at very high risk of mortality, there is a strong interest in implementing this strategy.